or good afternoon, or good evening, depends on the part of the world that you are. And the study I will present today is, could your eating habits be affecting your sleep? And how can we treat it without using drugs? My name is Huang Lei. I'm a medical doctor from Brazil, and I work and study ancient medical tools used in importance in the treatment of my patients, approaching disease and treating them on the energy level or root level. The reason why I'm bringing this presentation today is based on the thoughts of Hippocrates, the father of medicine, who says that it is very important to take into consideration the oldest medicine before the medicine currently used. And another quote of his would be, "Foolish the doctor who despises the knowledge acquired by the ancients." And today I will talk about a problem that affects millions of people worldwide, insomnia, and how the wrong diet habits can induce insomnia. Nowadays, 36% of the Brazilian population suffers of insomnia. It corresponds to more than 73 million people. People nowadays sleep 20% less than they did 100 years ago. And more than 30% of the population suffer from insomnia. 1 in 3 people suffer from some form of insomnia during their lifetime. Approximately 10 million people in the US use prescription sleeping aids, and people who suffer from sleep deprivation are 27% more likely to become overweight or obese. There is also a link between weight gain and sleep apnea. In China, the prevalence of insomnia was 15%. This number is way smaller than Brazil, where 36% of people suffer from insomnia. Younger Chinese adults appear to suffer from more insomnia than older adults. And in Western medicine, the protocols for treating patients with insomnia is first advise changing sleep habits and diminishing lifestyle stress. When those measures do not work, the use of medication is recommended. Even though the use of sleeping pills is not recommended for more than weeks, many patients use them in a long-term relationship. In my daily clinical practice, I realize some of the patients suffering from insomnia do not have beneficial results with the use of inducing sleep medication. And the results many times are not satisfactory and can induce many side effects. Now I will talk a little about the approach for insomnia in traditional Chinese medicine. I use the metaphor of the tree to better comprehend the study of traditional Chinese medicine and other ancient medical traditions focus on the energy level point of view in the root level of the tree. As you can see in this slide, in this case, insomnia is a symptom of a leaf treated in a branch of the mental health. However, according to TCM, the origin of the insomnia symptoms is present in the root of the tree, in the energy or the root level. This is where my treatment approaches the patients. Chinese medicine is too complex and extensive to explain, but it's all about yin and yang and the 5 element theory. In this study, however, the yin and yang theory plays the most important role. As you will see in TCM, sleep is part of the natural rhythm of yin and yang in the body. In the concepts of yin and yang, yin represents passive force, while yang represents active force. In this slide, we are showing the yin and yang diagram. The ancients observed 2 phases of constant cyclical changes, where yin changes into yang, back into yin again. From 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., the yang energy is increasing until 12 p.m. corresponds to at most yang. From 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., it corresponds to yang within yin. And for 6 p.m. to 12 a.m., the yin energy is increasing until 12 a.m. And from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., the yin energy becomes yang again, restarting the cycle. In the Yellow Emperor, a book who proposed most of the basic principles of traditional Chinese medicine, there is a sentence which summarizes perfectly the relationship between yin-yang concepts and sleep. When yang is depleting and yin is abundant, one's eyes are closed. When yin is depleting and yang is predominant, one is awake. In order for yin and yang to circulate through the meridian, qi and blood is required. Qi is the vital energy of the body, and it flows through 12 principal meridians within the body in the 24-hour cycle. When qi flows through a specific principal meridian, it takes around 2 hours to vitalize and strengthen the organ systems associated to that particular meridian. After vitalize the organ with energy, qi will pass through the next meridian, fortifying him as well. The ideal time to sleep in accordance to the meridian clock is from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. If your sleep is disturbed at a certain hour repeatedly, it is an indication that the pair organ system may require your attention. In the next slide, we will talk briefly about the meridians utilized during the course of 24-hour cycle. The cycle initiates on the lung between 3 to 5 a.m. Between 5 to 7 a.m. comes the best time to evacuate because qi is passed through the large intestine. And next, the maximum energy is on the stomach between 7 to 9 a.m., the best moment to eat. And from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., the maximum of energy is on the spleen pancreas. And the energy of the body is totally focused on digestion. Here. Between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., the maximum energy is on the heart. A funny factor is that 70% of heart attacks occur during this period, when the qi energy is flowing through the heart meridian according to TCM. And from 1 to 3 a.m. and 1 to 3 p.m. The maximum of energy is on the small intestine, being the best time to eat again. And from 3 to 5 p.m., the maximum of energy is on the bladder, and from 5 to 7 p.m. is on the kidney. And when a patient feels tired and perceives the need of sleeping between 3 to 7 p.m., it's demonstrated that the kidney meridian is presenting an energy deficiency. When this meridian is healthy and working properly, the patient will feel energetic between 3 to 7 p.m. And after 7 p.m., the maximum of energy will pass through the pericardium, the triple burner, and the gallbladder. According to TCM, to figure out the energy-based cause of insomnia, it's important for the doctor to observe the pattern of sleep of the patient and compare it with the pattern of qi flowing through the meridian in a day cycle. For example, if a patient is able to sleep easily and then wakes up between 1 to 3 a.m., it demonstrates an imbalance in the liver meridian. The liver meridian has a property of cleansing of blood and processing of wastes. And from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., the gallbladder and the liver meridians have their maximum of energy. And when the patient is not able to fall asleep between 11 to 3 p.m., this shows that waste is not being processed by his liver, and it acts as an irritant to the body, causing insomnia. If he wakes up between 3 to 5 a.m., in the morning, this means that he has an energy imbalance in the lungs meridian. and the lungs imbalances with feeling of sadness and wrong diet. Part of traditional Chinese medicine literature demonstrates that insomnia is a disturbance in the Shen energy, and Shen is one of the three treasures that constitute life: Jing, the essence; Qi, the life force; and Shen, the spirit. In this slide, you can see the different classifications of mechanisms of insomnia according to traditional Chinese medicine. You can have the disharmony between the kidney energy and the heart, disharmony between the heart and the spleen, this retention of qi in the gallbladder meridian and mucosity, and food retention. One of the causes of blood deficiency is due to nutrient absorption problems, very common in people who consume lots of raw food, dairy products, sweets, and ice liquids, and have excessive worry. These foods are very common in Western diet and are often required health food. Internal heat buildup occurs when there is an excessive of energy on direct way or a deficiency of energy on the indirect matter. The food that cause internal heat formation are frying, eggs, chocolate, honey, coconut, alcoholic beverages, cow's milk, and derivatives, especially when the cheese is melted. Other foods like pepper, garlic, ginger, cloves, and cinnamon are also some foods that can generate heat. And these foods should be avoided mainly in the night during the dinner to avoid insomnia. Eating correctly gives us the energy we need to complete tasks, strengthens our immune system against disease, and improve cognitive functions, heal wounds, repair bones and tissues. Too often, healthy eating is rarely thought about when it comes to sleep. One of the problems patients usually have to sleep is associated to food stagnation. According to the teachings of traditional Chinese medicine, the gastrointestinal tracts stop working at 6 p.m. Therefore, if we eat after this time of the day, the body will have no energy to perform the digestion, that what can be a cause of insomnia. With my patients, I advise them to dine earlier, preferable between 5 and 6 p.m., eating food with have in energy, those that grow under the ground, such as potatoes, carrots, yams, onions, and radish. Red meat should be avoided at this time. It is very common for the patient to have insomnia because he has an erroneous eating habit, especially at night. Food that have yang energy can imbalance the normal cycle of yin and yang energy flow during the day and night. And these foods are those that grow up the earth, such as rice, beans, corn, popcorn, red meat, pizza, barbecue, coffee, at night, Coke, matcha tea. And these foods should be avoided mainly during the dinner in the night. On a study of mine previously presented on 2015 at the Acupuncture Research Conference at Harvard Medical School in Boston, United States, the summary of this study said that if we treat these energy imbalances between yin, yang, qi, and blood, we will treat all the symptoms of the patient at the same time, even if the doctor does not know that the patient has such symptoms. With this type of reasoning, we will be able to treat all disease of all specialties at the same time, as we treat the root of the problem and not just the symptoms. Now I would like to briefly talk about the water temperature, a very simple factor that can influence the pattern of the sleep of a patient. According to traditional Chinese medicine teachings, the energy of water is normally cold. And if we drink this water constantly, we will weaken spleen pancreas energy that is responsible for the absorption of nutrients, as well as for the maintenance of blood in the vessels. The consumption of cold water can be causative factors of both mechanisms that is leading to anemia and the formation of internal heat. It is also important to talk briefly about the importance of being careful when orientating about the use of herbs and tea. For example, in Brazil, it is common for patients to use chamomile tea to try to sleep at night, as well as eating lettuce. According to traditional Chinese medicine, chamomile can induce the formation of internal heat if taken daily. So it should not be routinely indicated for treatment of insomnia. And the same I say when patient eats lettuce at night to treat their insomnia. As it grows above the earth, it has young energy and tends to imbalance the normal cycle of yin and yang cycle, triggering insomnia. When the origin of symptoms of patient is in the systemic problem of yin and yang energy, the intake of medications for sleeping won't treat the cause of the problem. Now, regarding specifically the use of medication for inducing sleep, the main basis for taking about this subject is Arnold Schultz law. According to this law, for all substances, small doses stimulates, moderate dose inhibit, and overdoses kill. According to this law, highly diluted drugs improve organic process, while high concentrations harm health. The use of high concentrated medications such as sleep inducers, according to this law, would create a drop in the vital energy, causing more energy deficiencies. To not have this effect, I usually use high diluted medications to improve the vital energy and treat, in this case, insomnia. In addition to diet and high diluted medications, all my patients use auricular acupuncture. The points used are described in this slide. Here we are treating anxiety, kidney, liver, spleen, large intestine, lung, heart. Anxiety point. Here is the sleep point too. In addition, I do the apex ear bloodletting, is a procedure to clear the heat inside the body. That is one of the cause of insomnia in the patients, according to TCM. And to show the effectiveness of auricular acupuncture for the treatment of insomnia, I'm going to show some data that have already been presented previously at the World Congress of the Acupuncture in New Delhi, in India, in Bali, in Indonesia, in Atlanta, in the United States. Patients who had clinical symptoms of insomnia were selected from all the general care records in a medical clinic. Through a questionnaire, they were interviewed by a researcher who had never had previous contact with this patient. And the results of this evaluation were that of the total 30 or 83.3% of the patients considered their insomnia as the main symptoms of acupuncture treatment. Here, the majority have insomnia. And in this chart, we can see that 25% of the patient already have some improvement only after the first sessions, and which increase the number of acupuncture, the improvement. And if you do more sessions of acupuncture, you will have more improvement of the insomnia symptoms. As we can see, the evaluation was excellent or good for the majority of the patients who were treated by acupuncture. It corresponds to 94% of the patients. Only one patient had a history of hospitalization justified by the insomnia before his acupuncture treatment. Almost 20% had previous non-acupuncture treatment, and this shows that most patients in my city are looking for different forms of treatment, trying to avoid the serious side effects of controlled medication to induce sleep. And once more, we can see a positive result when more than 94% would recommend their acupuncture treatment to others. And also, over 1/3 felt that had been completely cured, and 2/3 of the patients felt they were improving from their insomnia. And acupuncture in Brazil is considered a medical specialty in Brazil. And I usually use homeopathic medication. It is a medical specialty in Brazil too. And the conclusion of this study is that food can induce insomnia if consumed at inappropriate time and alter the internal energy yin and yang according to their mode of preparation. In this study, we demonstrated that it is possible to treat insomnia without using medications too. Emphasis is given to rebalancing all internal energy through proper dietary guidelines according to traditional Chinese medicine tools, using auricular acupuncture, and if it's necessary, to use some medication to opt the high diluted drugs such as homeopathy to avoid the side effects that could perpetuate the condition of insomnia. This study was based on the thought of Hippocrates that said we should treat the patient, not the disease, and make your food your medicine your food. And the importance of dietary orientation cannot be ignored. In this study, recommendations for what to eat and when to eat were fundamental. Our food should be our medicine, and our medicine should be our food. Thank you for your attention. Any questions?